This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach. Hello, everybody. Let's go ahead and open up the door as yes, we are a live Zoom with a live audience. So let's go ahead and open up the waiting room, let people in, and welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca, where we bring you truth, education, and real solutions for better health, one step at a time. My name is Becca Dukes. I'm a certified naturopathic practitioner, also certified holistic health coach. And today we are diving into a topic that affects athletes, families, and anyone living an active life. And joining us today, we have the one and only Dr. Dirt, lovingly known as Dr. Dirt. His name is Richard Renton, and he is a respected educator in sports training and performance nutrition. Richard brings years of hands-on experience working with athletes and active individuals with a strong focus on how nutrition, minerals, hydration, and recovery directly impact performance and long-term health. His practical, no-nonsense approach helps bridge the gap between science and real life. Well, folks, grab your pens because today's conversation is all about sports nutrition, healthy alternatives to conventional sports drinks, and how sweat leads to critical mineral depletion, often without people even realizing it. So if you were invited to this program by somebody specific, you want to make sure that you get back with them and tell them thank you. If you found this program on your own, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel that you have found us on. And also go to the website. This is for everybody, dailywithdoc.com. Sign up for our email list so that you also can receive information in regards to tools you can put in your toolbox to create a healthier health journey. Now, if you were invited by somebody specific, that's your person. They're the ones that are cared enough about you, so care enough to say thank you to them. And if you didn't and you'd like to speak with a certified holistic health coach, 855-949-3377. That number again, 855-949-3377 to reach one of the Daily with Doc certified holistic health coaches. So let's go ahead and invite Richard to the screen with me. Hello, Richard. Welcome to Daily with Doc, and happy Christmas Eve, my friend.
Meliki Miki Maka, which is Merry Christmas in Hawaiian. So there we go. A little bit of my past heritage comes out, and I'm glad to be with all of you. You know, you and I were talking about sweat, which is kind of an interesting topic for adults to talk about. And I would think that the majority of our people are on this line understand that sweat isn't just water, that it probably has sodium in it. And that's really the most common thing, because if a drip accidentally goes in your mouth, it tastes salty, right? I assume that most of us aren't trying to drink our own salt or our own sweat, but it's so much more than that. It's all your major minerals, and we have a tendency to call them electrolytes. And so calcium, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, all those are also in the sweat. So the more you sweat, the more you need to replace those nutrients. But let's just not focus on athletes. Think about cooks in kitchens in restaurants. Think about guys that repair roads in our summer or replace your roof on your house. How about first responders that go into burning buildings? You know, all these jobs that we see, not only athletes, but all these people, they lose it. And so hydration becomes important with that. But replacing it with just water really doesn't, it helps. It will prevent probably heat exhaustion and things like that. But you really need to replace it with the minerals. And so there's lots of different ways that we can help people do that with our particular product line with longevity. The simplest being is add, a teaspoon of plant-derived minerals to every quart you drink and try to do that. The rule of thumb is you take your body weight, you divide it by 2, and that's how many ounces of water. If you're in a high sweating situation, you should drink. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water, so on and so forth. We can all do the math on that. And I would say probably with all the people on this show, including me, there's probably only one that's doing it, that we're all falling short. And so during this time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, it's not as big of an issue as it is in the Southern Hemisphere for our Australian and South African friends, because they're having summer, and so they're having the extreme heat situations. But to give you one little quick story to give you an idea, not many years ago, but more than 10, I was a volunteer fireman and EMT for my county fire district. And we went out on a call midsummer and on a medical call. And when we got there, there was a 32-year-old male, almost totally passed out on the pavement. And the foreman was swearing that he was telling his crew, drink lots of water, drink lots of water, drink lots of water, because at that particular time, it was about 115 Fahrenheit. And on pavement, it was probably 130, 140 Fahrenheit, and which is a dangerous level if you don't stay hydrated and get some time in the cool. And so the first thing we did was check his body core temperature. You do that by putting thermometers underneath the armpits and areas like that. And he had a internal temperature of about 108, which your organs start to shut down. And so as a first responder, and all he was doing was repairing roads, but he was doing this. So we were packing him with ice to try to cool his body down as quickly as we do. The disadvantage for him is that he was 45 minutes from the nearest hospital because he was out on a rural county road doing road repair. And unfortunately, he didn't make it. And, he was married and had kids. And it's all because he didn't take care of himself. And I don't know, most of the people on this call know what OSHA is. That's the insurance company for industrial accidents. And they came out and did an inspection and interviewed everybody. And, they were told to drink water, but they didn't have the water out there on a regular basis where everyone could grab it all at once. And there was a big political mess about it. But it all could have been fixed if everyone was just a little bit wiser what's going on. And then I look at the people on top of the roofs. How often do you see a cooler up on top of the roof when it's hot, when they're replacing those roofs? And typically the answer is never. Because getting the ladder up there, dragging it up there, keeping it up there safely where it doesn't fall off and all that type of things, they just don't do it. They come down periodically and have water and things like that. And I managed restaurants for a time in my life, and I can tell you the cooks have waters right there, but getting them to drink is something. And we had what was called a mesquite broiler, and which means we were burning mesquite wood in it to give that flavor to steaks. And that broiler was 700 degrees. And so they're working above this and they're going to sweat. And so what we want to do is make sure that those type situations are preventable with education. We want to make sure that we have product there that will help them, that has additional minerals in it. We want to let people know that our manufacturers are all SFA certified, which is a third-party certification that is in 2 different levels. One's called GMP certification and one's called GMP for sports. And the manufacturer does our powders and whatnot are both. And what that basically means is that the products that we design are legal for athletes to take, that they don't have to worry about taking a foreign substance that's against the Olympic Committee, against NC2A, against NFL, against NBA, against all the pro sports, as well as they go through beyond the government standings as far as testing for purity, quantity, and insurance, that what we say is on the label is actually in the label, and the labels are written properly. Um, Most of the time, you can contact, if you don't take our product, which I don't, not encouraging that, that you contact the manufacturer and ask to see their certificate. And if they can't provide it, I probably look for somebody else. I've always dealt with companies that have done that. It's becoming more and more common, but I can tell you the NSF one is a difficult 4-day testing process. In other words, they have testers that come to your facility, and they're pretty much there for 4 days, testing how you test things, testing how you blend things, making sure that it's bottled correctly, sealed correctly, labeled correctly, and they go through everything from master formulas, and it takes them days to do it. And so it's also an expense that unfortunately you guys end up paying for indirectly, because it costs the company several $1,000s to have these certifications. And so knowing that we have these should give you um, comfort that we go through those extra steps to protect you. So we talked about the plant-derived minerals, having the obviously the minerals in it that you lose when you sweat excessively. They're not at a really strong concentration. So we have other ones like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine powder that are at a higher level. And then we have products that specialize in muscle recovery or workout recovery, and they're under the label of Rebound. They're not heavy as an electrolyte, but what it does is that it helps gets the chemicals that are in your muscles after heavy contraction and relaxation of the muscles. It helps get those excess chemicals out, and then that helps your body recover. We basically designed that product for a retired basketball player now by the name of Theo Ratliff. At that time, when we first started to talk to him, he was playing for the Atlanta Hawks, and he had a terrible season. He had multiple injuries and whatnot, and the team, the way the NBA works, if you don't perform and you're on the injuries list a lot, they start to weigh how much they pay you versus how many games they get out of you, and they politely ask you to retire if you're not doing that, if you're not performing to the standards, or they try to trade you. And Theo basically was the Atlanta Hawks were considering that, and he ran into a ambassador of our group, Andrew Young, who introduced him to Doc, and Doc put a program together for him of basically the Mighty 90 back in those days. It was the pig arthritis formula. And he was a big man. He was 6'11", and I think he weighed 260, 270. Might be a little bit more than that. So Doc was having him take 3 a month. And that following year, he missed 1 game all season. He led the NBA in block shots and was on the follow-up team, or second string team, all NBA defense. And so at that particular point, what typical NBA teams do, they trade him when he had value, and he went to work with the Portland Trailblazers. And I got to spend a lot of time with Theo because I lived at that time in Portland. And so not only did I deliver him the products and talk to other players on the NBA team, and we all kind of got everyone kind of going on the program, he got a multi-year, back then, huge contract. It was well over $10 million. And so he's always been an ambassador for us because he's grateful that he got those additional contracts. After he left Portland, he went down to LA, and I think he went to Boston for a little while, all getting contracts. And now he has a quality of life for him and his family that he can feel comfortable with. He had good advisors that helped him save the money. So he doesn't charge us to endorse the product. And you, at one time we had him on the packaging. I don't think we do now. but he often comes to events with us, especially when down in the South, because he lives with his family. Well, his daughters are in college now or graduate from college, so they're probably starting to spread out, but down in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And so it gives you an idea of how products come along with longevity. We find a need, and then we develop the need to help the athlete. And this particular product, the Rebound product, basically helps, especially the scenario with NBA players playing back-to-back basketball games, and they need to have their body recover quickly. Now, a lot of people ask us, and I'm sure it's going to be one of AJ's questions, how come we don't see a Rebound cooler on the back of the bench of an NBA team? And that's because Gatorade has a huge contract that they pay the NBA, and they do it. And at one time, I can honestly tell you, it wasn't always Gatorade in the jugs, but then Gatorade threatened a lawsuit with them and required it. And so now when you look at the benches, you see that a lot of the players, and it isn't just longevity products, I'm not implying that, but a lot of the players have their own bottles underneath their chairs with no labels on it. In other words, it's just a plain bottle, and they drink from that. They don't drink from the Gatorade thing. That's just because Gatorade, when it was originally designed by University of Florida, was the phys ed department, the sports medicine department realized they had electrolyte problems with their athletes, especially the football players down in the South, with the humidity being so high that they were low on electrolytes, and they're trying to figure out how to get it in them faster or easier than an IV. And then one of them said, well, why don't we just put it in a liquid formula and have them drink it? And they basically took saline solution and diluted it and flavored it and was giving it to the athletes. And that's what Gatorade was. And they've improved it over the years, but it's really still not that much. There's other brands that are out there as a electrolyte replacer. But I can tell you without a doubt that Gatorade has the biggest advertising budget of all of them, because you see them out there all the time where they're concentrated out of the little sachets, to drinking the bottles, to having on the back of their the players' benches, whether it's football, basketball, every sport you can imagine, they're there, and they're paying to put that stuff there. And so it kind of interests me, but I know that Theo was having me ship various products all over the NBA world so that he wouldn't run out. And there was a lot of players that he was talking to that was asking what he did to change things. And he was free at telling him, and thank him very much. So it kind of gives you an idea about some of the products that we have there. Gives you the ideas. At one time, we worked with the Australian Olympic Committee to get the product certified in Australia, which was a fairly expensive thing. We used to do it. We decided to cut back on spending the money, so we no longer do it, but we passed all the bells and whistles to do it. We still have the NSF GMP Sport on some of the products, and so they're safe at doing it, and will provide any athlete with the information that they need if they need to give it to their team sports medicine department to ensure the safety of the product and them taking it. And so yak for 20 minutes basically saying how great our product is. But I think the other thing that I want to make sure that people realize is that there's kind of two different things, two different stages: heat exhaustion and sunstroke. Both can be very dangerous. But the one thing you have to watch is if you see a person starting to turn red and they're no longer sweating and they're in an environment that's hot, that's when it becomes serious. Because basically what sweat does when you sweat is it applies that liquid on your surface that evaporates. When it evaporates and there's some air movement around you, it can drop your body temperature down. When you run out of liquid to cool yourself off in any way, shape, or form, your core temperature will start to go up quickly. And, we're supposed to be at 98.6. People say, I don't feel good at 99. You can imagine what adults start to feel like 102, 103. Not that uncommon for children, but they have a tendency to drop that temperature quickly too, as well. But when they start to get to be 105, 106, 107, 108, you have some serious problems. If you run across someone like that, please call 911 right away. If you have ice packs or cooling packs around, pack them in the spots where they lose the most heat, which is around their head, in their armpits, down in their groin area, and on their body chest, depending on what you have. You lose more heat from your head than anywhere else. So if you only have one choice, pack it around their head. But their armpits and their groin are the next two. And I'll kind of stop there because I'm sure Becca's got questions. And I just kind of wanted to toss out the first shells of quick answers.
Well, Richard, I think it's awesome that you gave us the history on Rebound and shared with us about Theo and how he has been able to really make a huge impact in his life, his family's life, and others, as being a testament as to the power of nutrition and getting the right nutrition into the body. Now, folks, think about if it can do that for an athlete that is pounding their bodies hard, and you're looking at bone and joint issues, what do you think it could do for you? I think it could possibly even work faster for somebody that's not continuously putting that much stress on the body, because he's continually sweating stuff out, right? So if you're replenishing on a regular basis, daily, the body can do some amazing stuff.
I totally agree with you. And if we just want to start with the basic healthy start pack and we think about it, it's got a multivitamin in there that has lots of general nutrients, including trace minerals, but also has antioxidants and everything else. And then OsteoFX, which is basically a calcium supplement, basically there to support bone health and what like that. And then you can add glucogel. We have several different forms that you can get it in to help those and essential fatty acids. That's great. But I had one person that I was talking to Doc a couple of weeks ago, and we had some people that were talking about iron absorption, and we're just going to bring that up on the side there. And Becca, I think I was talking to you about it as well. And yeah, I talked to Doc, and he says, I said, I've heard you suggest Cell Shield RTQ to help people with iron absorption. And I did some research on my own, and RTQ is primarily three ingredients, resveratrol, quercetin, and turmeric, RTQ. And none of those, when you go to pubmed.gov and you type in iron absorption and those ingredients, none of them are really shining light saying this works really great. Why do you recommend that? And what he said really surprised me. He basically said that it supports the bone health. Turmeric and quercetin both support bone health. Your bone health and the secretion of the cells that it puts in your bloodstream helps your body absorb iron. And he says, so it's a sub-cofactor is what he called it. And he says, so if you think about it that way, and you have someone that has low iron, we're talking about stuff that you lose when you sweat, you lose iron. We talk about women that have trouble absorbing iron, just adding Cell Shield RTQ. Doc says typically within 2 or 3 weeks, you could take a blood test, take it for a bottle supply, take a blood test, and in that short period of time, you should have an increase of the amount of iron that's in your blood, which means your body absorbing it. Now, does it help if you eat lots of green leafy food and things like that? Yes. But if, what he's saying is that most people in their diet are getting some. And so if we can optimize that by having a healthy bloodstream and things like that, when you say healthy bloodstream, to me too, hope comes in the back of my mind. The stay natural hope. I got to clarify that these days.
Yes,
and that's basically supposed to be a blood cleaner with the herb side of it, but that will be beneficial as well in the absorption. And so, you could read all day, you can study on the internet all day, and I can tell you, you can learn stuff every day. The one thing that you have to keep in mind, and AJ and I were talking about that, is a little bit of knowledge can be really dangerous. And so, you know, what I tell people when they have health challenges, that they need to talk to everybody they know that they would consider knowledgeable in the field, and then study their own, and then help make their own decisions. That to me is really important, being a cancer survivor myself and things like that. And I'm just never going to say, whatever you say, you're the doc. That's just not my nature. I want to turn around and say, okay, he said this, where can I look that up to make it the same, you know, and things like that. And I'll give you one other correlation. I guess I'm allowed to beat up doctors a little bit. A lot of people call me up talking about rheumatoid arthritis. And I found a couple articles in the Journal of Rheumatology, which is basically their guide, their peer-reviewed journal, that talked about a antibiotic helping people that have rheumatoid arthritis, that it will help get rid of the bacteria that's related with it. And it's a very low dose. We're not going to talk about doses or anything like that, but it was published in that journal twice. But if you go talk to a doctor that treats rheumatoid, he wants to just he'll poo-poo it as fast as you can get it out of your mouth, not even acknowledging it, even if you provide him the articles. And to me, that he just wants to provide a much stronger drug. And I just think if there's a natural way that we can take care of things, or take it in stages to see if things work before we get on some of these really rough pharmaceuticals. I know on the previous call we talked about GLP and my feelings about that particular drug, and how it's 300 times stronger than we need it to be. That if we can just kind of take it in small steps and see what works for each of us, we're going to be healthier and happier. But the only way we can do that is to talk to everybody we know that has a correlation with what we're going through, and see what they did and what they were successful with and who they talked to. And then go to websites like pubmed.gov, which is the United States National Medical Library, that's open to anybody in the world. You know, our Albert could go on that website and look up stuff and see what's going on and see how we can help people. And that's the way I think we'll get better.
I agree. I use PubMed all the time when I'm looking at, you know, okay, this person has this. What is it? What does PubMed have that talks about the nutrition that's been shown to be effective? And then I go to our product line. It's like, oh, well, I already knew that, but now I have the support of resources to back up what I know. And I love that we can do that, Richard.
Well, it's also a neat way that we can share our ideas with friends without really breaking rules. In other words, we can't say, someone comes to us and say, I have this disease. We really technically can't say do this, this, because that's treating, diagnosing, and prescribing. We're not allowed to do that. But if we turn around and we know what's on PubMed or things like that, and we send them to that location and let them read their own, and just say, after you read it, give me a call back, and they turn around and they say, well, where can I find this vitamin C? And then we can take them to that direction. That's a question we can answer. And so it's a great tool to use to recommend and help people in certain ways. Or if you go on a particular website, or I know that I have those articles down here on my floor because I get called that many times, and I'll scan it and I'll send it to them. You know, and it's their own peer review. I wish, you know, the peer reviews now are about 8 years old. I wish they publish it again, but I can't push that situation, but we can see what happens. But, you know, there's just ways to help friends, to keep them out of trouble and keep us out of trouble, but to allow them to ask intelligent questions. You know, if you ask what my favorite thing would, if the FDA could do, there'd be two things. One is improve the quality of what they say on the label, instead of bowing down to the big companies to be able to put the holes in there so that they can kind of lie without telling the truth. I wish that would be fixed up. And the other thing that I wish the FDA would do is to take medical prescribed drugs off TV.
That would be great.
Because too many people go into the doctors and say, I want to try this drug. Well, I almost can guarantee every drug that's on TV is a patent drug that's expensive. And they create profit margin for their company. And I would like to see that disappear and just be like the old days where the doctors would learn about the drugs and then make the decision with their patient on which drug they should take.
And full disclosure, I used to be one of those individuals. I'd see something on TV. It's like, well, I'm experiencing those things. And my ears kind of closed to the legal jargon that they put in there that gets read so fast that this may cause death. It's like, oh, that won't happen to me. And then I go to the doctor and say, hey, I heard about this. What do you think about this? Oh, well, it's worth a shot.
Same thing with food. Karen and I, when we go shopping and all the time, because she has really problems with the really small print, she'll hand it to me and goes, how many ingredients are in this product? And I'll read it and I'll say, oh, there's about 14. And she goes, okay, we don't want it. She likes products that only have about 4 ingredients on it. And things like that. I found out an interesting thing. I don't remember where I saw it. That the meat packers, there's basically 4 in the United States, basically convinced our government that they should have a loophole that they don't have to state where the meat came from. And so when you go and buy your meat package, unless it's from a local U.S. cattle ranch and they're advertising the cattle ranch, you don't know if that meat is from Brazil, Australia, New Zealand. Well, New Zealand you do, because New Zealand requires it as an export. United States, China, you don't know. And so and plus it's been that way. Fruits and vegetables, they're starting to do more, stating what country it's from. But the thing that amazes me is, like, right now, strawberries are coming from way down in the southern hemisphere. How green do they have to pick it to put it on a ship to get it up here, expose it to nitrogen up here to turn it red or whatnot, and then put it on our shelves for us to eat? And every time it has fresh on it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was fresh at one point, Richard. Fresh at one point. Well, so the limited ingredients, and I think that is so important when we're looking at food for ourselves. I know for my animals, we looked for limited ingredients. We wanted the nutrition in it without a whole bunch of fillers. No empty calories. Just pure, this is what it is, which I think our body was designed to be able to process it that way.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, I agree.
And I did not know that you were a survivor of the Big C. So that's a testament to your knowledge, putting it to use, and then also using your experience to help others when it comes to what's underlying cause of many of these things. And Doc was he's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I get emails all the way, all the time. How's Doc? How come he's not on anymore? It's like, well, he was on traveling 300 days a year for how many? 300 plus for decades. I think he deserves a break, don't you?
I think it was close to 40 years.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Before longevity was longevity is when I met him on the road and was doing trade shows with him. And longevity's 30 years old. So I would say it's close to 40 years.
40 years. 40 years of traveling and having the family grow up without him. I think it's time that he gets to watch them thrive because of something that he spent so much time into. So my hat is off with Dr. Wallach. In fact, I created myself a new wallpaper, and I've got a picture of Doc and I right there from when I was working directly with him down in San Diego. And it's just brings joy to my heart to know that I've been part of something and you've been part of something that has really impacted a lot of people's lives. Now, you also
I didn't mean to
were
do
going
that. Sorry.
that's all right.
So do you see
Um,
that map that's behind my head?
I do.
Notice how this seems to be really rough and different. Those are actually pins where I've lectured.
Oh,
And
okay.
you look at a high concentration, they're there. And then you can go over to Australia and New Zealand, which is behind my headrest. And I have a bunch there. And then up in Europe, I have a bunch there. And, it's kind of fun. And it's really been a joy in my life that I've gotten to go all over the world and to talk to people about nutrition and things like that. I've talked to everything from University of Texas Sports Medicine Group. I've lectured in front of that group, as well as Penn State, as well as families in upper New York to, I think I've been in every state except for two, lecturing and things like that. I still laugh about the time where I was in Wisconsin and Minnesota when some movies came out that really gave them a hard time about being pushed through a chipper. And we all went out and saw the movie, and I was there lecturing them. We were talking about nutrition during that. And so it's just a way where I've gotten, we have Phyllis on this call every time, and I don't know how many times Phyllis and I have talked on the phone, and you and I have talked on the phone, and it just makes a better part of our lives. And I get to call all of you friends, and you get to call me friends, and that's the way it should be. There's a sign that I saw, and I think when I get a chance to go down in my wood shop and play around, I'm going to recreate the sign. It says, "Home is where your family is, where your friends come, and where your roots grow."
I like that.
Not the house over your head.
Right.
And I think it's so true with the people of longevity. I have a big family now.
Yes, you do. And I'm thankful I do too. And folks, and that's something that if you've ever had an interest in nutrition and helping people find a better health journey, there is a really good business. And not just good as far as, and I'm not making any income claims, but as far as income, but also the purpose. There's a great purpose for what we have, and we get a thank you check for sharing it.
Mhm.
So if you have ever thought about doing something on the side, looking for, a hobby that can then benefit yourself, your family, community, or want to be part of an amazing community, get back with a person that shared this program with you and say, hey, I want to be part of the community. What can I do to help others find these amazing products that are changing lives? Because yes, there is a business opportunity here for those that really want to make a difference and have something to be proud in, something that they can trust, because there's a lot of products in there that people go in all about, and then within 2 years they don't exist anymore. And like Richard said, longevity's been around for 30 years, and I think that's fantastic because I'm coming up on year 10, and I absolutely don't see myself stopping. So, especially not the nutrition. Well, Richard, let's get to some questions. And of course, you know who has his hand up first.
I think he put his hand up before we were actually online, didn't we?
No, you made some commentary, and I was kind of upset that I couldn't just chime in because it would have been pretty timely. But there's a couple of things that I have a couple of questions, and I just want to make a comment and thank you for your work in helping to formulate Rebound. And I got a story with it when a couple of years back. It was hot in the summer. My cousin had a basketball team, young kids up in Rucker Park. It's a pretty famous basketball place in New York City. And I was on my way to go one of his games, and I only had one pack of Rebound sticks left. and I wanted to make sure, it was an extremely hot day. I wanted to make sure I brought this stick in case one of the kids got dehydrated and, you know, something happened. For some reason, I was pretty worried about, because it was so hot, that something could potentially happen. So I wanted to be sure that I had that Rebound stick. On my way there, on the subway, that I went to go switch subways, there was a guy laying on the platform. It's definitely not from Harlem. And he's laying there, his wife frantic. She's, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And he's just laying there. And I tell his wife, I said, Miss, put this in his water and have him drink it. She's looking at me like I got 5 heads. He's looking around and I'm like, Miss, put this in his water, have him drink it. Eventually, I got her to do it. He took 2 sips, popped right up, didn't say a word to me, looked, they got on the next train, and he just wanted me to hear. He said it loud enough. He said, that stuff works. So I don't know what it was that, you know, maybe he had a heat stroke, or maybe he was having, and I have 2 stories from that same summer. And then I got one story. There was a guy having heart things in the building that I lived. I said, hang on, gave him a Rebound. And he was like, you know, when I saw him again, he was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I felt so much better, et cetera. So just thanks for that. And then my quick commentary was, you said that Andrew Young had something to do with the introduction of Theo to longevity. I had always heard the folklore was Mike Glenn, the Stinger, was the one that did the introduction.
Okay, so let's take one step back. Who do you think got Mike Stinger into longevity?
Okay, well, I'm I'm pretty sure it was Andy Young, but you know.
Yeah, and that's at one time for Albert, we actually were sending products to Mandela, and it was Andrew who made the arrangements to do that, to get down there, and that obviously several years ago. But you know, word of mouth and personal testimony, you just showed how that influence on how to do the business and make you feel better. You know, the one thing that I always hope they say, oh, that made such a big difference in my life. I want them to say, where can I get it? You know, but sometimes you kind of have to twist that out of their arm a little bit. But you know, it's amazing when you help people and you've changed the quality of their life. Where, you know, where does it take us? You know, what do you do? What are you willing to change your life to make it better? And I'm not talking financially, I'm talking nutritionally. You know, since I've been around with Karen, I am eating better. I've lost weight, you know, and things like that. And it's just because we're sharing and we're making an effort. And I always say that if you have a partner that helps you do it, whether it's your friend or your neighbor or your spouse or your loved ones, that it always is a lot easier to do it. And so I'll encourage you all to think of that. You said you had a question though.
I think that
we have a product for that. It's called Memory FX.
Oh, I think that was my question. Oh, here's the question. What do you think? What do you think of electrofuel?
I don't know it that well. It's not one of my designs. I will look it up and give you a good response on our next time we chat.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you, Richard. And let's go over to Marilyn. Marilyn, what question do you have for Richard today?
Hi, Richard.
Hi.
You know, we're always talking about nanoparticles, and the smaller the particle, the better. Now, I know that longevity has a lot of nanoparticles, real small particles in their ingredients. But recently I came across some websites where they're introducing 60,000 parts per million and liquid forms of like magnesium and calcium. Is that something longevity is looking into doing, or are they better to be that small? unit?
So if you think of a cell in your body as a wiffle ball, you know what a wiffle ball is? Okay, I'm dating myself, I'm sorry. But if you could think of a wiffle ball and it's got all these ports that allow things in and out. If you have a molecule of 500 magnesiums bonded together, it can't get in the cell because it's too big. It has to be broken apart. And that's an extra step. And so if we can create problems that, if we can create products that will allow it to go in, then that's great. The best example I can give is with our plant-derived minerals. If you ever get a sunburn or a scrape on your hand, put the plant-derived mineral straight on it, because the particle size is small enough where we'll go through the first few layers of your skin and get to the layers that are growing and healing, and you'll heal faster, whether it's a burn or a scratch or anything like that. So when they say there's 60,000 particles, they're kind of using a measurement implying that they're all broken apart. And that may or may not be true. In other words, it may be an advertisement phrase. You kind of have to look at where it comes from and where it's going from to do it. Our plant-derived minerals, since they've gone through a plant and we extract them from a plant, the plant's already broken them down for us. When you eat those plants, same thing. When you eat spinach, you're going to get minerals that are already broken down into smaller size. It's
so when we get like calcium, should we be getting it then from like algae cal more?
You can, and you're seeing us do that more, but there's another reason for that. And we're trying to be honest with everybody, right? So truth and honesty. So some of the plant-derived mineral products that we have, we're starting to blend things in it. To get it into foreign countries, a lot of the countries say, from what plant did it come from? Well, our plant-derived minerals come from a humic shale deposit that's 1 million years old or more. So we can't identify the plant. So they say, if you can't identify the plant, then you can't bring it in. Okay, so we put algae in with it. Well, we can identify that plant. So we give them the spec on the algae and they go, oh, okay, you can bring it in. So it allows us to bring it into more countries when we do it in the United States. And we don't really want to do a product for the United States, a product for Canada, a product for UK, a product for Germany, a product for Singapore. You know, we try to develop our products where we can get it into the majority of the countries. And in some countries in Europe, we can't get our plant-derived minerals in there because we can't identify it. But mineral caps we can, because it's one of the ones where we've done a blend type game. Same thing with Beyond Tangy Tangerines. You're going to see more and more where we put combinations in so that we can get it into the country.
So that's great. So it's pre-digested. So the minimum amount of 60,000 can be somewhat false. I just want to make sure.
It's kind of a misrepresentation.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that.
I won't say false because then they'll probably sue me.
Okay. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Let's move right over to Sherry with a question.
Hi, Richard. I do have a question from our listening audience, and this is from Bruce on YouTube. He would like to know, he doesn't have health issues, but he'd like to know, what is the best bang for his buck, Pollen Burst or Rebound?
Okay, so if he's trying, remember where I said the focus of Rebound was to help your muscles recover from multi-day activity in the road. So if the scenario is that, then I'm going to say Rebound. If the scenario is in the afternoon, I start to wear down, I get a little tired, I need some energy pickup, I need some extra antioxidants, then I'm going to go to Pollen Burst. So it kind of all depends on which angle you're coming from. You know, I have an email, it's richard@youngjevity.com. If people want to ask a straight question, I'd be more than happy to answer it. You have to be patient with me. I am probably going to take tomorrow off, but we'll see what happens. And I'm an Oregon Duck, so I can guarantee on New Year's Day I'll be in front of the TV and not answering my emails. So if you're patient with me, I'll try to help every one of you.
Okay, and Richard, he has one more question. What is the best bang for my buck, Fucoid Z or selenium?
What's the best what?
Bang for his buck.
Oh, bang for his buck. Selenium or Fucoid Z? Fucoid Z as an antioxidant is better than selenium. Selenium with the copper and the other ingredients on it as part of a daily routine is probably better. So I would, if you're desperate for an antioxidant, I'd probably go towards Fucoid Z. If you're just trying to enhance your 90 essential nutrients there. If they go to pubmed.gov, and we talked about this, and they type in selenium and certain types of cancers, I'm not going to name the cancers, it'll say that there's reasonable research. And then if you look down at the bottom, you're going to see Dr. Wallach's name. Reasonable research saying if they take 250 micrograms of selenium, it can help prevent this. And that's the health claim that we have on that product. So if you look at Beyond Tangy Tangerine, there's only 100 milligrams. There's basically 100 milligrams in everything, including Ultimate Selenium. But if you take 2 Ultimate Seleniums and Beyond Tangy Tangerine, you're now at 300 milligrams, which fulfills that requirement. If you go to the same PubMed, you type in the active ingredient, which is fucoitin, in Fucoid Z, and we have all 3 types in our product, you can read about how it has a tendency to do wonderful, terrible things to tumors, but wonderful things for us. I guess that's a good way of saying it. And then you can go with that. So there again, it all depends what. But I've also seen people that have had autoimmune challenges, and that Fucoid Z has been beneficial for them as well.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherry. And one more question, Richard. Keely, what question do you have for Richard today?
Hi, Keely.
Hi, how are you, dear? I just want to thank you for your wealth of knowledge and your competence coming forward, because so much of what you have to offer actually educates us on what gives us the ability to answer questions for our clients as well. I do have a couple questions for you in reference to a couple of products. What would you say is the most important ingredient in the recovery for people as it relates to Rebound?
The amino acid complex and the polysaccharides.
And why is that?
Polysaccharides, oligosaccharide, and monosaccharides are what gets the excess items, toxins out of the muscle. The amino acids helps with the muscle recovery.
Okay. I have a lot of athletes that are presently taking or have been presently taking the Rebound product. These are cross-country runners, both college and high school, and a couple of them are national champions. What has happened, or what they've done the bone and arthritis, the joint packs in a lot of cases. They've rebuilt their cartilage, been on, some of them have actually been on, not the pig pack, but the bone and joint recovery. And one of the things that they've noticed is some changes in reference to Rebound. Are you aware of any changes in reference to Rebound in the last 2 months?
So the other ingredients has changed a little bit because we've broken apart the 3 flavorings, and it used to have natural flavorings first, but when we broke them up as individuals, other ingredients goes from highest to lowest. It's broken that up. I also believe they dropped the plant-derived minerals from 120 down to 50. So they reduced that down a little bit. Ask me why, I can't give you the answer.
Here's part of what I'm sort of challenged with. A lot of my individuals are related to the medical industry as well. And all of a sudden, based on those changes, I didn't pick it up initially, was that I have people that now have been on Rebound and are suffering from lymphedema and edema issues. They're getting hand swelling. They can no longer take a product that they literally have been dependent on for the last 2 years. And I have questions to ask and questions to get answered. They literally cannot take it. I actually put myself through that same process because I was totally unaware of any changes other than the marketing that was promoted. And I can no longer take it myself either. I mean, given the fact that you said that there have been some changes, are those additives and fillers that, were not there before? Because there is a systemic reaction happening.
To the best of my knowledge, the concentrations have changed, but not the item themselves. I think AJ and I were talking about the change in vitamin E. Was it vitamin E, AJ? Nod your head for me. Yeah, vitamin E. And I was going to do some check on that. I'm going to reach out to Longevity and have some conversations on what's going on. Also, the manufacturer that makes it is one of the manufacturers that is sports sensitive and whatnot. I don't know if there was a change in their regulations that they needed to do in the formula to keep the certification going. So I have some due diligence with that I just don't know right now, and I'll work on that for you.
Okay, I would appreciate that because I have a lot of people that have to come off of that product, and I actually made a recommendation to a lot of these associations and was going to do a strategic intent for the first part of the year that I can no longer make based on not having that information. So I would appreciate anything that you could do. And if
Will you send me an email so I have a link to you?
Absolutely, I will. Thank you so much, and have many blessings for Merry Christmas.
To all of you. And for those, Hanukkah ended a couple days ago, and Qantas starts in a couple of days. We have to celebrate all of them, people.
It's the holiday season. That's how we're going to all get to better know each other.
Festivus for the rest of us. Okay. So,
okay, AJ.
Richard, just before she brings on the rest of the folks, my friend's son was an offensive lineman for the Oregon Ducks last year, and he's with the Cowboys now.
Yes, they are producing a lot of NFL players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's retired, by the way. I haven't really seen her around. But,
well, all right. Well, thank you so much, Richard. I know questions are not always easy, but I know that you do due diligence and get to the root of many, many things. And we appreciate you doing that. And if I could get the rest of the team up on the screen, that'd be absolutely fantastic, as I could not do this without them. I wouldn't want to do this without them. And as Richard mentioned, this is my family. These are the people that, we do life with, and we're there during the good, during the bad, and support each other, and greatly appreciate the family that we have put here with the Longevity family. And there's room for more. So again, get back with the person that shared this program with you, or if there's no one to thank, you can give our team a call at 855-949-3377. You'll be connected with somebody to help you in health and wellness and product knowledge. So Richard, again, thank you for coming on. I know that you've got a lot of stuff going on, and it's the day before Christmas, and it's like, hey, if you're doing a show, let's do it. So we appreciate that very much. And also appreciation to AJ, who's trying to get the health celebration, fireworks going. Is it going for you? Works for me, AJ. But the joys of Zoom, as every time we come in, it seems something has changed. But AJ is responsible for helping us get out on all the different platforms and making sure we are where people are. so that they can find this information to help themselves. So thank you so much, AJ, for all you do. And he's also part of our tech crew, getting everything set up, as is Sherry, who is part of the tech crew, helping to make sure that things are streaming and continue to stream throughout the program, and watching for questions. Thank you, Sherry. We also have Phyllis, who is helping watch for those questions also on the different platforms and putting information into the chat. Thank you very, very much, Phyllis, for all that you do and all that you've done over almost 30 years in this mission. And also, thank you, Albert, joining us from South Africa, helping to let people in and help keep an eye on the room to make sure we don't have any, I don't want to say foul play, but people with ill intent coming in to disrupt. So thank you, Albert, for keeping an eye on that. And Marilyn, as we lovingly call her, Fingers, folks, if you're not here live with us and you want to take notes but just can't get it all in, well, Marilyn can, and she puts it there in the chat, black and white. So we invite you to join us here, unless there's a holiday, which we've got quite a them coming up here. We are here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern. And, oh, I can't remember what it is in South Africa right now, but I want to say 10 to 11. So that might be, yep, I got 2 thumbs up there. Thank you so much, Albert. 10 to 11 at night. So thank you, Albert, for your dedication and being here with us. And folks, I hope you got some information out of today's program that just gives you a piece of what you can do to help yourself, whether you're athletic or not. If you're sweating, you're losing minerals. It is very important that you replace those with a quality product, as what you can find within the Longevity family line and the Healthy Start Pack. If you're not knowing exactly where to start, that's where you want to start. Healthy Start Pack. Then they make it easy. And Richard, you may have been part of making this easy. If somebody is having soft tissue, whether it's heart issue, brain issue, you go for the Brain and Heart Pack. If you got a problem with bones and joints, you go for the Healthy Body Bone and Joint Pack. You got a problem with blood sugar, Healthy Body Blood Sugar Pack. You got a problem with digestion, Healthy Body Digestion Pack. And if you just don't want to age, go with the Healthy Body Anti-Aging Pack, as it also has that RTQ that we were talking about in today's program, along with the Healthy Body Start Pack. So folks, thank you again for joining us here on Daily with Doc. Don't forget to go to dailywithdoc.com, sign up for our email list. And if you have questions at dailywithdoc.com, and one of our certified holistic health coaches will get an answer for you. Again, questions at dailywithdoc.com. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and everything else that they mentioned. You know, let's just make each and every day a day full of thankfulness, gratitude, and telling somebody else how much you love and care for them. Until next time, bye for now. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and share the teachings of the founding father of science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach.